welcome back to the podcast because we are brewing with two bros. Today, you get to brew with three.
So today was a special podcast. Usually I introduce everybody, but today we have a special guest, Albert, and
More
I
than
usually
a guess, we call him our brother.
yeah,
So
it's our third brother. We use we are two brothers, and this is our third one. You can see like how similar we look.
I would say more than Albert, I would call him Rajesh.
So I am Rajesh for today.
Today, right?
Okay, do the
Rajesh
head bob
Albert
for the
maybe want to
audience.
do. Rajesh, try twice. I don't know. Just kidding.
Just kidding.
Nobody get offended, please.
Right. So usually I start the podcast, but I usually mess it up also. So I was telling Albert that, every podcast, once we start, the first line is totally messed up. And he said, like, let me do it, let me start it. I said,
Let me do
sure,
the
go
honors
ahead.
today.
So this was a special introduction to me also. So thank you, Albert, for introducing me.
Yes,
And
sir.
more than that, thank you for coming out, for taking such a long drive, and then coming out here for us. And
No,
it's
look,
an
this
honor to have
is
you.
this isn't work. It's no effort. We appreciate you guys. My wife and I, both of you guys know my wife Patty.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
We
Thank you.
appreciate you guys, and it's
Thank you so
it's an
much.
honor to
Yeah.
come hang out with you guys. Genuinely, for real.
Yeah.
So just to begin with, I would say a quick introduction.
Sure.
What do you do? Who you are? All that stuff.
Sure. I'm Albert Mendez. I am a real estate broker. I'm a fellow real estate investor as well. I got into the real estate game full time as a real estate broker 6 years ago after spending many years in the corporate world. I'll name names if I'm allowed to name them, and I won't if I'm not allowed to.
Okay.
You're
do
open to
that.
say anything you like.
that's fine.
There's
So,
nothing going on over
This
here.
podcast is open to all. We have no
Good.
restrictions. You can do
Fantastic.
whatever language
If you
you
want to
want
cuss
to
at
use.
somebody, you're more than welcome to.
So I don't use any foul language, but
Yeah.
we can
can,
I'll let you guys do it for me. So yeah, I mean, prior to real estate, I spent lots of years in the corporate world. I worked for a brand it's pretty well recognized globally called Dyson.
Oh, Dyson.
Correct.
The
Yeah.
hair thing.
The hair, the vacuums, the hand dryers,
Yeah.
all of those things.
Oh, interesting. As like
Yeah.
a
The king of household things. You can
more
say.
than that.
Way more than that. So, Dyson's an engineering company, not to make this about Dyson, but Dyson's an engineering company that happens to focus a lot on products that happen to move air, right? Whether it's in a vacuum, whether it's in an air purifier, a hand dryer,
Yeah.
a hair dryer. They're masters at this, and James Dyson has built a nice empire for himself.
Yeah.
At that time, I was the 10th hire into the U.S. business, just launching in 2002. I
You're
spent
kidding me.
15 and a half years as their longest serving U.S. employee.
Yeah.
No way.
And then through some cost cutting initiatives, my role was eliminated. And
Oops.
and I said, I'm going to jump into real estate because I always wanted to do it.
So when did you start real estate?
2018.
2018.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So did you have like any friends or family that were in the business, real estate, or like what made you pursue it?
I always had an interest in real estate. Right.
Nice.
In part going back to where I grew up. I grew up in
Yeah.
Uptown, which is just an interesting community if people don't know it. And I grew up in Uptown when people called Uptown the hood or the ghetto. It was just different.
Yeah.
They just
The
they-
ghetto.
people who don't know Uptown would say that, right? But I grew up
Exactly.
where I had a melting pot of friends
Yeah.
and socioeconomic diversity at its finest. I mean, literally
You see all
from
sorts of people over there.
everything. I mean, I had neighbors that were multimillionaires living in mansions.
Oh, really?
And I grew up in a high-rise building right across the street,
Yeah.
right? The governor lived around the corner from me
Oh, wow.
while he was the governor. So it was just interesting, like, because I would walk past amazing houses and all kinds of cool real estate. And I just thought construction was always interesting to me, seeing things get built.
Build right.
Real estate was always interesting to me because it was always, like, in my brain, like, how do people get to this level
Get
of
to this
Yeah.
level, right?
success where they
Right.
have this kind of
Money to play with.
means to live in a house like that, and we're in an apartment. Mind
Yeah.
you, don't get me wrong. I was blessed to grow up where I was,
Yeah, yeah.
where I grew up, but it was just cool, and it was always something I had an interest in. So
Yeah.
the opportunity presented itself, man, and also it's kind of one of those things where you get pushed into a new reality,
Yeah.
right? And so it was like, that is going to be what I'm going to do, because right now everything got swept out from under me literally in a flash of a second.
Right.
Your role is done.
Done, right.
Right. And so I was like,
A
well,
quick Zoom call and it's over.
It was actually in person, but I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just because I'm just
things are
I was
going.
well, you kind of the writings
You
on the
can
wall,
sense
and I
it.
was fortunate. God allowed me to actually see how this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Even before it happened.
Yeah.
So I knew it was coming.
Right.
And so I told my colleagues, they wouldn't believe it because they
Yeah.
were like, "You're like the furniture in this place. Like, there's no way.
There's no way you're
you
gonna
can-
move.
Right. They were like, and I said, no. I said it's.
But
it's
somehow you were
coming."
squeaking, so they had to replace you.
And it came.
I guess.
And that was okay. And it was just kind of a good push because I was like, well, I always enjoyed the idea of doing real estate.
Yeah.
Right. I understood it wasn't going to be easy,
Easy, right?
but it was the opportunity to do for us, for myself and my family,
Yeah.
everything on my own. And no one was going to tell me
What
this
to-
is your last day
Exactly.
because no one would
No
have
one
that
would have-
authority anymore.
You'll
Right.
be your own boss.
I'd be my own boss.
Yeah.
And that was the plan. And here
Yeah.
I am 6
And
years later.
you are also a managing broker.
I'm licensed as a managing broker, correct. I am not a designated managing broker, and there's a
Yeah.
distinction in that. The designated managing broker is the one responsible for
Okay.
the office, but I am licensed as a managing broker. I can manage an office. I can manage my own brokerage if I
Yeah.
chose to do that.
Okay.
Do you wish to do that, or it's not?
That's
on the plan?
that is something that's always been since the beginning.
Okay.
Part of the conversation, right? I knew when I got into real estate that when the law allowed me to get my license
Yeah.
as a managing broker, I was going to do that. So I did that. So 2 years in to having my real estate agent license, I got my license as a managing broker
Yeah.
because that's what the law allows.
Right.
And thankfully, a lot of laws have changed in Illinois where you don't need a brick and mortar location anymore.
Okay, virtual.
You can have a virtual
Oh, nice.
Oh, no way.
brokerage. Yes, you don't need a
So
brick and
what are
mortar.
the
we should jump on
requirements?
it.
Like, do you have to be like an agent for like a little while, or just like
They
just
want
to jump into it?
two of your last 3 years needs to be as an active agent. You can then take your licensing for managing broker, become a licensed managing broker.
Yeah.
And then if you are running the office, you carry the designation of designated managing
Interesting.
broker. And just so you know, for you guys, you don't need to have a license to own the brokerage.
Huh?
You can own the brokerage. You don't have
And
to
then
have
manage it.
then you have somebody else manage it for you.
Oh,
That's
You
all.
just
You're
hire
in-
people.
You hire a designated managing broker to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look at that now.
Correct.
I guess it's coming soon for us.
Yeah.
Might as well do it.
I'm just saying.
Two bros.
Two
Two bros reality group.
Two Bros Realty. Three Bros sounds better.
Of course, let's
You
do
know?
that.
You know?
It's Rogers,
But
Rick
yeah.
No,
and
but
Bart.
like,
Yeah.
but let's go a little bit back. Like you have seen 2008, 2009, and all that Great Depression and all that stuff, and then you still decided to come into the real estate in 2018. What was the thought process like? What were you thinking? Like,
So
let's
look, this
jump
was
onto it and
this
see
was
what
the
happens.
fortunate thing for us, my
Yeah.
bro. We bought our house in 2009
Oh, and 9.
before we were doing real estate as a family.
Yeah.
We bought when the market tanked, right? And then if we only had the resources, man, would we have bought a lot more
A lot more
houses.
than that, of course.
And so it was a good experience to do that for the reason that we bought a house on a short sale.
Yeah.
Our home that we have today is in Avondale.
Okay.
We bought it on a short sale. And having not done much of anything to that house, and our house needs a ton of work,
Yeah.
it's doubled in value. So even more of a reason why, like,
Why did
Why?
you
this
buy it?
real estate thing
It makes
is
so much sense.
is like really
Yeah.
it's no brainer kind of thing, right? I mean, that's historically, I like history. You study history, you study the people who not for the sake that they're rich, but for the sake that they had great success.
Exactly.
Real estate has always been
On the
One of
top
those,
list.
yeah.
in the mix for all those men and women who have had great success in America, and not just in America, but globally, right?
Globally,
but
right.
specifically in America, because that's
Yeah.
where you and I are. I
No,
mean,
every wealthy person or a rich person has a portfolio in there, like, a bunch of houses or bunch of buildings.
they do, and actually, something maybe one day in the future we'll all get into. They actually have a lot of land,
Yeah.
Like actually like
like
making land.
like land,
yeah.
like lots of it.
Yeah.
Lots of it. So there's something to that.
No,
Right,
I was
yeah.
reading
Gotta
a
find that
book.
out.
I was reading somewhere that like you can buy clothes, you can buy anything you want, but you cannot buy land because it's limited. Y-
Yeah.
It's not getting produced anymore.
That's that because it's already here, right?
Exactly.
So now,
And
So
there's a
it's-
limited availability.
and
of
who owns it probably has a little bit more say over what happens
Exactly.
with it,
With
With
it.
it, right.
So when
The more you own it,
Sure.
the monopoly you can play, in real life, I think.
sure, and I'm sure there's there's tax benefits and things like that to
Yeah.
owning land, and it's a place to park your money when you're that wealthy.
Yeah.
But there's something to that. And so I'm still always studying it and researching it.
Interesting, yeah.
But there has to be a reason why people who have achieved that crazy level of success sit on land.
Yeah.
Why?
I wonder
Why?
how would that work because it's not producing anything. It's going up in value, but
There's
Like,
some
let's-
there's
some-
something to it.
there's something that we're missing. You know.
There's
Let's
something
find
there.
out.
Yeah. Homework.
So
Yeah.
going back to your first purchase back in 2009,
Sure.
how was the funding process back then? Like, was it still the same like today? Or
Well, no, I mean, back then it was, the market had crashed.
Mhm.
And so all of the things that happened, if you guys have seen the movie The Big Short, I think that does a good job of telling the story of the market collapse.
Was it called Big Short?
The Big Short.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a lot of toxic mortgages and, things that shouldn't have been happening that were happening on everybody's side, but it crashed.
Yeah.
And so then lending became a little bit more stricter in like how you get money, because prior to that, if you had a pulse, you'd get a mortgage. It didn't matter. Yeah. Like
They
we
didn't look
were
at anything.
Oh no, Patty and I had a conversation with two guys that came to our house once before we bought a house, came to our apartment, I should say. And they were talking to us about something called a NINA loan, NINA, no income, no asset loan. Yes. No verification.
Yeah.
I could put on that piece of paper whatever I felt like.
Was there like a limit to how many you can get?
No, I don't believe there was. Again, this was utter insanity
hell?
back then. It was utter insanity.
Yeah.
It just didn't make sense.
I think we were born a little late.
Yeah, we came to this country like 9 years ago. So
No, I think you came at the right time.
considering our age, I think we made it at the right time.
At the time that was right for you guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, so things got different with lending. That's
Very much so.
that's what happened, right? So like
Yeah.
we had to do like first time home buyer like seminar to make sure that you're educated about the home buying process. Like what does it take to buy a home, and be a successful homeowner, because it's not just buying a house, right?
Yeah.
It's understanding you need home insurance, you need
A lot different.
there's
things.
just more to than signing a piece of paper
Yeah.
that says you own a house. And so the government then implemented this whole thing where you had to do first time home buyer programs. We bought using an FHA loan.
Okay.
So it was great because you had low down payment.
Yeah.
There was more inventory than anybody could count back then.
How were the interest rates back then?
So having good credit back then, we got our home with an interest rate of 5.25%, and that was having good credit in 2009, right? And on an FHA loan.
Right.
And then the rates, which is interesting now that as a realtor and an investor looking at what the years were from, because that's how I measure it, from 2009 all the way up until 2022, the rates were actually like amazing. They just kept getting better and
Better.
better
And better,
and better and better, to the point that 2.5 years after we bought the house on a 30-year FHA with PMI and all that good stuff, 2.5 years later, the rates continued to drop, and we refinanced the house to a 3 1/8 interest rate on a 15-year conventional loan. Got out of the FHA, went to a 15-year conventional loan, which shaved total interest. If we kept the house for 30 years, excuse me, let me correct that. If we kept the mortgage for 30 years,
Yeah.
that would have cost us about another $140,000 in just
No,
interest.
Interest payments,
In
yeah.
just
insane.
interest, right? And so we refinanced the house to 3 1/8 conventional on a 15-year loan, and we paid it off way sooner. Thank God for that.
Yeah.
So
That's
Right.
great.
it's all equity,
Yeah.
and just seeing all that, to kind of get back to your question that you asked, like why this, was just seeing like, man, like, and that was a retail purchase.
Yeah.
It wasn't an investment purchase. Today it would be an investment purchase when you think about what we paid for it,
Right.
because we paid
Right.
like $160 for that house.
But it was right in 2009, so the regular
Everything was
prices
like
were
that.
like,
Well, this
Considering
was
today, it'll be like 400.
or worse,
yeah,
meaning better.
better.
Maybe,
Right.
yeah.
Oh yeah. The neighborhood is done has done great. We have
Yeah.
$700,000 townhomes built a block away.
Townhomes?
Oh, $700,000 townhomes.
Is it like one of those bungalows that you have, or
We have a typical Chicago bungalow built in
So beautiful.
1921.
with high ceilings? And all?
Decent ceilings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
I like
and it works.
Yeah.
The guy who owned it before us, he lost it on the short sale. He tried to make it into a 3-flat.
Okay.
He did.
Like single family into
He
three.
tried to turn a single family into a 3-flat, and this is how. Even to this day, I still don't have stairs on the inside of my house that take me to the basement. I have to go out the back to go down to the basement.
Oh God.
Because I kid you not, he had a family living on the first floor. He had a family living in the basement, and he ended up putting stairs from the attic to the backyard,
Okay.
No way.
and try to put another unit up
Yeah,
there.
unit up there.
The neighbors shut
crazy.
that down. The neighbors called the
Of
city.
course,
and
that would've
been
shut, yeah, it was an eyesore. It was
whole
horrible.
mess.
Yeah, the city came and shut this guy down.
But when you bought it, the city didn't tell you to fix all that, or just leave it as
No,
is?
we didn't have to do anything like that because
Yeah.
he had whatever he went through with the city. I guess that was taken care of, right?
Okay.
But I think also remember the market we were in back then.
Exactly.
I mean, the
They didn't
market was
care.
hurting.
Yeah.
So I don't know that there was a whole lot of interference with
From the city.
from anybody.
Yeah.
It was like if you can buy it, like buy it.
Good job.
Because otherwise, the inventory. I mean, Patty and I saw a lot of houses.
Yeah.
A lot, and we saw things that were mind numbing. Like people literally took their cabinets, their kitchen cabinets.
Yeah.
People literally took their copper piping out. People literally took the tiles. They ripped them off the wall
What?
because they were upset about losing their houses. So we would walk into houses that looked like
That we buy today.
like looters were. Yeah,
The same
but
kind we buy today.
the same kind
Like,
that we would buy today were abundant back
Yeah.
then. Abundant. I mean,
God.
everywhere you went,
Yeah.
they were everywhere, and you couldn't move them fast enough.
Yeah.
And if you had resources,
Yeah.
like today, we're fortunate to have access to
private money.
to things like private money.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, oh my goodness, man! Like the right deal, the right numbers. If you bought it right back then,
Yeah.
Once a week.
today, yeah, you'd be buying one once a week, and you'd be sitting on a multi-million-dollar portfolio.
Close to $1 billion.
Crazy.
With the value they are at now.
With
in
depreciation
in
and
areas that
everything.
today, that same property as is,
Yeah.
hurting the way it is, would cost you $300K. The way it is now, right? Like in
So
in rough
in almost
condition.
like 11 to 12 years, like you're just doubling like the
In a 15-year window, that property, I'm conservative on saying that it's doubled.
yeah,
Right. Easy.
easy.
I mean, if you
Easy.
fix it up, it's gonna be like probably 3
Easy.
times.
It could get there's somebody doing a house right down the block, but they dormered it. So they ripped off the whole top. They put a whole new dormer. They're getting close to being done. It's going to be beautiful. I'm guesstimating that house will, if they sell it, they'll ask for $700,000 or $800,000 for that thing,
Insane.
which is nuts.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is okay,
amazing.
right?
Which is good for you.
It is good for us.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's good
So
for
in the
neighborhood.
future,
You know,
you might wanna do it.
the prices will go up.
Everything has gone up over there.
Yeah.
It's a highly desirable neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
So we're in Belmont Gardens, which is the last little pocket of Avondale. So it's inside of Avondale. It's the southwest end of Avondale. And Avondale's
Nice.
a hot real estate market. Yeah, we've seen ranches sell for $400,000
Yeah.
bucks, a little 3-bedroom.
3-bedroom.
Oh yeah, seriously.
That's amazing.
It's good. Yeah.
So, have you ever done any construction or anything like that? Like bought a house and fix it up, or did like any major
I mean, we did a
rehab?
flip when we joined Mastery. We
Yeah.
did that property in Washington Heights. That was a lot of fun. Good learning.
Yeah.
Good experience. So that was it was simple. I wouldn't call it construction. It was simple cosmetic rehab.
Yeah.
I like simple.
Any surprises in that?
No, the surprise was seeing the pictures because we did it. I was chasing that at the very beginning of us starting the mastery classes. Within like first 2 weeks,
First 2 weeks,
I'm
you were chasing
hunting.
that
I'm
property.
hunting this thing.
By the way, what is Mastery? I
So-
heard a lot of people saying I joined Mastery
yeah,
and
so
everything. What is Mastery?
Mastery, founded by Andrew Holmes,
yeah.
is a group of like-minded investors that have taken the initiative to invest in themselves,
Yeah.
invest in joining this group known as Mastery, where we can collaborate, partner, be part of an ecosystem that allows us to grow our
Right.
portfolio and grow our net worth.
Yeah.
I mean,
So when
huge-
did you join Mastery? You said 18.
November 2022.
3? 2.
Oh, 2022. Nice.
So 2 batches after us.
Mastery
Right.
Mastery number 25, so you would be 23.
Yeah.
crazy. Now they're at 30.
Now there's a bunch.
Yeah.
Oh
I
god.
can't keep track of them all. There's a couple thousand members of
Exactly.
Mastery.
Also, you're part of their Hispanic side of the.
Yeah, so we do outreach. Andrew has a number of avenues of getting the information out to the world.
Yeah.
And one of those is through what's called the Hispanic Investor Network. And my wife and I are committee members of the Hispanic Investor Network, where we volunteer to bring the information out to the Latino community, specifically to the Spanish-speaking Latino community, because there's a hunger for it. And, I think Andrew has recognized it.
that thing.
And
There's a
he's
need,
put
there's a demand.
resources behind it to understand that there's a demand to do it. And one of the reasons that my wife and I participate as committee members with fellow members of Mastery that are part of the committee is because we believe that there's a lot of people that are out there giving information. There's a sad reality that there's people in the Latino community that have been taken advantage of by
right.
people
Yeah.
that
course,
are
yeah.
giving them false hope, false dreams, and taking their money.
I think
Right.
that's with every culture
And
or
it
every
is.
background.
It is. It
yeah.
is. And I don't specifically want to just help the Latino community. We're doing this because specifically we can go out and bring the information in their language,
Exactly.
right? But I want them to understand the trust that is required
Yeah.
Opportunity also.
and the opportunity,
Right.
and the importance of a network.
Yeah.
And it's something that I feel I go to sleep at night at
Real
peace,
good.
knowing that we're not coming out, giving
rip somebody
people
off.
false hope, false
Exactly.
dreams.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I are, you guys specifically. I mean, Patty and I haven't done anything next to you guys.
Yeah.
And you guys have
No,
come.
we joined Mastery in like 2022 March.
Yeah, March 2022.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
got 2 years, like what, 2 months ago.
Yeah, so it's 2 years, and in 2 years, what you guys have achieved
Yeah.
Yeah.
is just, and just so you guys are aware, you may or may not know this. I share your story through the Hispanic Investor Network to
Well,
to people.
We appreciate that.
No, and it's important why, right?
Yeah.
Because when you have a large demographic, not the fact that they're Latinos, but the fact that there's an age range, right,
range,
within
right.
this world
Yeah.
of investors, right? That it's great to tell your story because people's eyes open up. I'm like, would you believe?
Would you believe,
Yeah.
right?
Right? Would you really believe? Right, and
That's
that
doable.
these are two real young men here. I mean, I don't make them up. I can introduce you. They
Introduce
have real names, right? It's not a story,
Yeah.
right? It's real, and they're like, no way. I said, yeah, they're on. I think number 14 already, maybe
Yeah.
Yeah.
16. I could be wrong already,
Yeah.
right?
14, yeah.
Because it's moved so fast for you guys that you're like, yeah, I'm at 18 now.
Right.
Last week it was 14. Today is
Today's
18, right?
18. I wish.
But when they
But soon,
hear it, they're just like, for real? I'm like, no, for real. Like,
Yeah.
it's really real that what we're doing isn't some mysterious thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, as Andrew would say, right? It's something that's duplicatable.
Duplicatable.
Right?
Exactly,
So,
yeah.
and because it's real.
Yeah.
Right? Like
It's
it's not some
doable.
Ponzi scheme.
Yeah,
it's real. Like
Real,
we
yeah. No,
we look
once
at-
you understand the system and you have hunger to work and you
Correct.
know where you want to go, after that things get really easy. Like you just have to keep repeating everything.
It's about how
all
much
day.
you want it to happen.
right.
And,
Yeah.
the resources are there, knowledge is there, like you got to put in more work.
Yeah.
And I think like God also helps you find these things.
Without a
If
shadow
you-
of a doubt.
If you
Right.
ask for it, He will give you.
If it's within
I
his
think-
will, I agree with you
Yeah.
that he will. If it's not, then he won't.
Yeah.
right?
If it's
no,
meant for
so,
you, it will come to you, I think.
And that's something that when you're out there doing what we do, and we share with people, we do this as volunteers, right?
Yeah.
Andrew's not paying us anything to go out
course,
there
yeah.
and,
Exactly.
and do this, and so I think that lends to the credibility of what we do. When people understand, like, wow, like, no,
Yeah.
this is time out of our day.
Right.
We want you to be in a safe space.
Yeah.
And get whatever benefit that we can bring to you and information and access as a resource, and more importantly, the network, right? So,
Exactly.
sometimes people are uncomfortable with networking. They're uncomfortable with having conversations with people that they've never met.
Right.
But one of the reasons this
Hesitation.
is evidence of what networking looks like, right? Because we're sitting here
Yeah.
today as a result of just a simple extending a hand across
Being at
and
one
saying,
place
"Hey,
at that particular
this is
time,
who
yeah.
I am. Who
Yeah.
are you? And what do you do? And this is what I do."
Right.
And,
Right.
and if there's a way for us to collaborate and help each other, then
Yeah.
then we do that.
Right.
And that's how we get success. in this because you'll never do this alone. It's
Alone,
impossible to do
exactly.
it by yourself.
It's not at all.
It's a team sport.
Yeah.
you know?
People think like they'll do it themselves and then do big things, but I just don't think it's
No,
as
I read
doable.
a quote like related to this. It says like if you want to go fast,
Far?
go alone.
Go alone
If you,
if you wanna
something
go-
like
Yeah,
that.
if you're
Yeah,
gonna go
I share
far.
that proverb at every event.
Yeah.
Every Hispanic Investor Network event, I
Actually.
share that proverb. I honestly do.
Share it to our
Um,
audience
I
also.
will.
Probably they will. You
And
know.
it's really simple. It's a proverb that says as follows: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
to go together. Yeah.
And here we are.
And
going
here we
together.
are. We're going together.
Yeah.
Right,
Right.
for real. And so that resonates, I think, with people. I think in every community,
Yeah.
that transcends everything, barriers, borders,
Exactly.
economies. That as a unit together, whether it's a
Yeah.
family unit, a business unit, whatever, that together pushing towards the same goals,
Yeah.
Goals, right.
you can achieve a lot of success.
Right.
There's no successful business out there that has done it with just one person. That's why
No,
businesses
you need
are
a
built.
Built
whole
like, yeah,
team.
it's like
Yeah,
a whole
exactly.
team.
You have to
The
build.
CEO, CFOs,
That's right.
directors,
Yeah.
and all.
And I was fortunate again in my work experience. Like my last role, I was operations manager for the Americas, so I oversaw all after sales service and support for Canada, U.S., and Latin America. And in my own hiring practices for the business, I was always a big fan of hiring retention risks.
Right.
Meaning, I want people that are so good that we need to step up our game for them to want to stay.
wanna stay, right, yeah.
They want to stay. But those are things that I experienced with
Over
good
time, yeah.
managers, good leaders around me who were. I practice what's something called servant leadership. I'm a big believer in servant leadership,
Mm-hmm.
but I was surrounded around people that practice servant
Practice that
leadership.
particular
That
thing, yeah.
it wasn't about them looking good. It was about building us up,
Yeah.
and then what can I do to build you up? Because me building you up is just it's success for everyone.
Everybody, right? Yeah.
And it works, right? And so I was always taught, surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, that are better at what you do.
So you get to that level too.
You have to, right?
Right.
I mean, and don't be afraid of that. Like, there's no need to fear. Like, I think that's important. And
True.
I could, pride is a, as you guys know, I'm a person of faith.
Yeah.
The Bible says that pride comes before the fall. Pride is a thing that is dangerous, right?
It's very dangerous. Yeah.
But I think when you can set pride aside, right, and you can say, and one of the reasons I share you guys as examples when we're talking to the community is you're better at this than I am because you've done more of them.
Yeah.
Right. And
Right.
That's not an offense to me. That's an
Right.
acknowledgement of your success,
Success, yeah.
of what you've done. And just because there's a little bit of an age difference
Yeah.
between us, I got stuff to learn from you guys.
It's like
You know
3-4
what I'm
year
saying?
difference, right?
It's something like
Something,
that.
yeah. I'm not gonna talk decades. over here.
No, but there's always something to learn.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
There's always
I
something.
mean, there's
to
no
learn.
way you can stop learning. Doesn't matter your age. Like it could
Right.
be 80 and still be learning from a 20-year-old.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
technology
So-
right now. You
Yeah.
wouldn't like somebody who's 80 years old won't know what I can do with technology, right?
Oh, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
They're in a tough position. I mean, I know I'm blessed to still have my mom's still alive. My dad passed a long time ago, but my mom with technology, she's comfortable today with text messages.
Yeah.
She's comfortable today with doing
Touch
things
screen
on
phones and
her
all that
tablet
stuff,
and
right?
touchscreen.
Yeah.
But anything more complex than that.
It's like,
She's
whew.
well, they rely on us, right?
Yeah.
So like
Exactly.
they're in need of this kind of help,
kind
of
right?
help, right.
And so and in the same way we kind of do that with
that, right,
with
exactly.
information
Yeah.
with investing because
Yeah.
people are just like, I have no idea what private
How
money
it's
is
done,
or what
right?
do you
Yeah.
do that or what do you mean buy it right?
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
What does that
What do you mean zero money in the deal?
Correct. Right.
There's
What
no
does
No,
that
like
say?
it's like a regular, like a normal person. You ask them what
Mm-hmm.
is private money, buy it right. They have no idea. Like
Sure.
before joining Mastery, like we had zero idea what is private money, how do you get the lending,
The
how
BRRRR
to get
strategies,
approved,
all
the
that stuff,
BRRRR and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Zero idea at all,
Mhm.
and it's like how much you can learn. It's a different thing. Talk to different people and all that,
That's right. I mean, look, as I'm a realtor, right?
Yeah.
So, real estate as a whole, I mean, the facets of real estate
Yeah.
are vast,
Right.
and so I can talk to what today I would term a retail agent, right? Which
Yeah.
I do retail real estate
Yeah.
full time, right? But the language of real estate investing, talking as an investor,
Yeah.
you and I can have a conversation that I can't have
With a
with
With a
retail
with a
buyer.
retail
buyers.
agent who doesn't
Exactly.
Know
do
those
this.
terms,
They don't
yeah.
do this. This
Yeah.
because it's a whole different lane.
No, like that's the biggest issue we face. Like if we call somebody out of the blue just from seeing on the internet or something,
Sure.
an MLS, they have no idea. Like, hey, this is my proof of funds. I'll be using private money, so like you don't
You're
have
like,
to
"What
be
is
worried
that?"
about. It's 100% closed deal.
Correct.
And they think like, oh no, it doesn't work like that. We don't take private money, or it
We
has
need
to
the
be
bank
only
of
cash
like the
or
bank
whatever
proof
it
of
is.
funds. Like,
Because it's what they know.
No,
What they know,
exactly.
right.
Right. I had a colleague call me up yesterday, and she got an offer that I know it's from an investor.
Yeah.
She says, "What do you think about this offer?" And I told her this is a typical investor offer.
Yeah.
Sight unseen.
Okay.
It's a sight unseen offer,
cash.
cash purchase, right? They're making the case for why their number is what it is, right? Because
Right.
obviously they're going
Needs
to,
work.
and they're going to force equity,
Equity in it. Yeah,
into the
exactly.
home. And we don't buy retail,
Yeah.
right? As investors, we buy at a discount.
Exactly.
And all the other language that comes with it. This is the earnest money we're willing to offer. We're going to pay your title fee, the title
Closing
fees for
costs and
your
all that
and the
stuff,
closing costs, so long as you give us control of the title.
Title, right.
Right. The same thing we
Exactly
do.
the
Right?
same thing. And I told her, I said, this is an offer that would have come from me or anybody
Right,
within our
right.
group, right? I said, this is what it looks
Sounds like a
like.
guaranteed close.
It sounds like it could, so long as the number works for your client,
Yeah.
right? Because she represents the client on this one, the seller. I said, if it works for them, I said, this is kind of no brainer, you know. She was like, well, why if it's cash, why a 30-day closing?
Yeah.
I said, well, they probably still need to go through the process of inspecting the home. They may
Inspecting
want to
the home,
inspect the
right.
home,
Yeah.
and they still have to go through the process of possibly the funding,
Looking
right?
for
Of
money,
of
like
getting the actual funding,
reaching out to the people,
exactly. You know, so she was like, oh. I said, yeah. I said, this is what real estate investing
Is
looks like,
yeah.
you know.
Right.
And so
And
No,
being
it's
on
a-
calls with
it's-
Home Depot sometimes, just like earlier.
that's
today.
exactly right. Like, what do you mean you have?
No, this Home Depot, this is the first call I got from this. I think the location is Algonquin or something,
Okay.
Oh,
We have a project going on there.
Sure.
So she called me first time.
Yeah.
So I have to visit her tomorrow
Just
and
to introduce
explain her,
ourselves,
hey, this is like how we do it.
Yeah.
it's gonna go on for a little while, so make sure you
Right.
take care of it.
Yeah. For all of you who are wondering what the heck
What
are
the
you
hell we
guys talking
talking
about, there's a project going on. This Home Depot is new to Two Bros, and Two Bros is new to this Home Depot. Just had to work through a few things to make
Right.
sure we get back on track. So
Yeah, right.
that's that.
Amazing, Yeah.
Going back to you said something. You're a believer of faith.
Absolutely.
How do you can you expand that for me?
Sure. I'm an unabashed, Christian. I believe in the Bible. I believe every word of the Bible.
Yeah.
And it is the core of
Living.
everything that
Yeah.
that I try to do. I want to honor God in all that I do.
Quick question before you go further. Is it like
yeah.
Catholic or like
No, I'm a Christian. I'm just Christian.
just Christian?
Yeah, because Christ said, "Follow me." He didn't ask me to follow him under any title.
Right.
True, that's true.
But I am a born again
Yeah.
Christian. Yeah. So I try to put God at the center. I shouldn't say I try. It is the hope of my heart that I keep God at the center of everything.
Everything.
Because
As
if I lose focus on Him, yeah,
You lose focus on everything
On
else,
everything. Yeah, the Bible tells me it says, "Seek first the kingdom of God and all His righteousness, and everything else," meaning all the spiritual gifts will be added unto you.
Yeah.
Right, all these things will be added unto you. It says, "Seek first the kingdom of God and all His righteousness."
Amazing.
And that to me is a tenet. I have a lot of life verses.
Yeah.
A lot of life Bible verses that
Yeah.
you might hear me speak some Christianese. That's
Christianese.
yeah. So that's part of it. Is
No, actually, we also understand whatever you say.
We have
because
same things
Sure.
like in Hindi. Like
Yeah.
if you translate
yeah,
in our Gita, it says like pretty much the same things.
yeah,
very
No.
similar,
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is-
yeah,
And plus, when we were growing up, we went to a Christian school.
yeah.
So we had the whole Bible memorized.
Yeah.
At one point, like we had the moral education class. Man,
Yeah.
even though I hated it, I liked it because
Yeah.
it was like it made so much sense.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
It
It
was
gives you a way or
high.
like a guide to live your life,
Yeah.
like how you should live
True,
or
true, true.
do stuff,
Pretty simple.
Pretty
you know.
simple,
Some
exactly.
some people will use they say the Bible is an acronym for basic instructions before leaving Earth.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Basic instructions before leaving Earth. I like
Yeah,
that. I like that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's something that's at the core of my heart, of my family. I serve in ministry.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about that. You do
yeah.
like a class, something like
Oh,
that?
I mean, I serve in all kinds of capacity in ministry. Again,
Yeah.
I'm a servant, right? If I follow, as I follow Christ, Christ came to serve and not to be served. So
Yeah.
I came to serve. God made me a servant. I don't hide that. There's no shame in
Love
that.
it.
No shame in that, right?
I take joy in serving others.
Exactly.
And that's, some people like to be served, and I don't have an issue with serving others.
Of course. Yeah.
And you're blessed.
I'm blessed beyond measure. I'm blessed to bless others.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Amen.
All right.
All right.
Coming back to real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd like to go off topic a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, religion really interests me, like
Sure.
beliefs, faith, and all that
Sure.
stuff.
Yeah.
And I know that you're into it too. So,
Yeah.
it really like sparks
For
up
sure.
things, yeah.
Yeah.
So as you told, you were a retail realtor or anything,
Mhm.
so you directly deal with buyers who just give you a call, or you have like
A way to market
a
yourself.
way to market yourself, or
I use social media just to kind of remind the world that this is
I'm
what I
here.
do for a living.
so are you on like Facebook, Instagram, and
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, more Facebook than I am on Instagram. Facebook
Yeah.
feeds to Instagram, so it makes it easy for
Easier,
me.
Right.
yeah.
I have a love-hate relationship with social media.
Okay,
To be honest,
yeah.
I think we get distracted too much with it.
Definitely.
If
You
you
know?
use it too much, yeah.
Correct, and we have a tendency of using
Especially
it
the marketplace.
too much. Yeah,
I'm like, this is
Um,
$10. I should go get it. Do I need it? No.
So yeah, I mean, I do that just again to remind people it's good business practice, right? That people know that I do real estate for a living because it's
Right.
how I earn my living.
Earn your living, right?
So by the way, if anybody of our
Viewers.
viewers have to reach you, like
Sure.
what should they do?
Oh, shamelessly, since the bros are giving me the opportunity, 773-578-8675. Albert Mendez. Really simple.
Yeah.
Just call me.
Call me. It's the best way to
and
reach you.
it's the best way to get a hold of me. I always have my cell phone with me. I help buyers, I help sellers, I help investors,
Perfect.
and I help myself as well.
Yeah.
Pretty
So
much.
anybody interested in buying home, selling home, or investing, or
Sure.
have no idea what they're doing, but they want to get started, call
Especially
this
if you want a
numbers.
5-star
a call.
service,
Yeah, and
this is somebody you want to reach out to.
and I appreciate that. We live in the world of technology, and you're welcome to do a Google search. I'll never tell anybody to Google me, but
Yeah.
you're going to do it anyways.
Exactly.
Look up Albert Mendez Realtor in Chicago, and
Yeah.
Right.
I don't pay for Google reviews.
Yeah.
There's not 1,000 of them. I wish. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
You got plenty,
but
and they're
I'm-
all 5 stars.
I'm fortunate to have all 5-star
All 5
reviews
stars.
because I believe
So
in.
we're gonna put the link and everything, your phone number, so they
Sure.
can. It's easier to
yeah,
reach
yeah,
to you.
and I appreciate that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I believe that is indicative of what you should expect.
Expect
Right.
right.
So
So throughout the years,
Yeah.
you've been in real estate.
mhm.
What were like some of the hardships that you think you have gone through? Or
there's been a number, right? Because this is we talk about learning. We're always learning. We're always growing, right? I've learned that, and I say this lovingly to the audience that's out there, and I know I just encourage you guys to call me. When you do that, we're vetting each other,
Yeah.
right? Am I a good fit for you? And are you a good fit for me? And you learn that sometimes the hard way with
Right.
sometimes clients who I think mistake you for something that you're not.
Not right.
Right? Like I'm not the punching bag for all your problems.
Yeah.
I'm not the reason why things aren't going the way that you want to blame somebody. I know. And when you're in real estate and you're doing a real estate transaction, a lot of fingers point back at the realtor.
Realtor. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And so
That wrong.
those,
No,
right.
sir.
And it's like, no, and that's one of the things
Yeah.
that I think that you learn in a service business, because this is a service industry. and you're dealing with people.
Yeah.
And people are humans are humans.
Human nature. Like,
and so
all the
there's
errors are gonna come.
Yeah, but the idea that you kind of get put in a position where either people are wanting to question like your intention or your integrity or anything like that. It's like
No, over the years I learned that, because when I started like a couple of years ago, we were having a deal, like going through a negotiation and all that stuff, and then I told my agent, hey, like, why are you not able to get this deal? What's the problem? Like, I think you're not able to negotiate properly. So I put all the blame to him also, But over the years, I have learned, like, hey, it's not his problem or anybody else's problem,
Median,
Yeah, and it's again, I think the nature of humans to want to place responsibility on someone,
right?
Where I'm a huge advocate of starting with myself.
Right.
Let's start there first. Did you do something?
No, recently we have started.
Did you?
We started realizing that any mistake happens, anything goes bad or something, just go back and see, like, did I said to do this?
Correct.
Like, then it's
Was
my
it actually
problem.
me? Could have been us, like.
And that's honest.
Yeah.
Right. That's honest.
People hate
But
to like be
this
accountable.
comes with time. It's not like you're born with it or something. It takes time, understanding.
That's
hey,
right. That's growth.
Yeah.
That's you being able to mature, right? And say, hey, you know what? Like,
could have been me.
It could have been me. Actually, it probably was me.
Right.
And owning that, I think,
that, right.
and there's something freeing about that, where you can look at yourself and say, hey, you know what? Like, I got room. I got room to get better, and I always got room to get better. Which is why I hang around in circles like this for a reason. This is not by accident, right? It's like I get to learn. Right? How do I get better at what I do so I can help people like you get better at what you do,
in a better way?
In a better way, right? I mean, it isn't some rocket science thing. It's just, if you are legitimately and honestly just trying to get better at your craft, whatever that is, it's something that you will look at yourself and be honest about. I have a good friend of mine that still works for Dyson who shared something with me. Like, investing can be anxiety ridden, and I'll speak for myself. You and I were talking about this in the parking lot one day about just the amount of anxiety the car kept moving,
go.
and I kept following him. Just kept moving, inching over. Like, we should have had a videotape of that. It was great.
That was so funny.
But like, the idea of like the anxiety sometimes that you go through with like pursuing an investment, right? Because it's real money, it's real dollars, it's real effort, it's real responsibility, it's all those kind of things, and you can get
everything becomes real suddenly.
Sure, and suddenly, and like it can physiologically affect you, like literally, like having like a panic attack, and you're like, oh my god, what do I do? But a good friend of mine shared this story with me, and it's something that we volley back and forth with each other, and it was simply this: it was that students showed up to a pottery class. Yeah. And the instructor divided the group in half. He told one half of the group, right, to spend the next 2 hours or whatever it was making one pot. And then he told the other half of the group that in that same 2 hour window, he wanted them to make as many pots as they could in the same window of time. Okay. And after everything was all said and done, everybody was finished. It was obvious that the people who were told to make as many pots as you could in 2 hours, there was consistent improvement over every pot that they made. Why? Because they made one, goofed it up, made another one, made another one. So in his way of encouraging me, he was like, "Al, you just got to make more pots. Yeah, you just got to go make more pots, right? Like, you'll get like your first flip, right? You learn some stuff, you probably mess something up, you goof,
of course,
and then so
we still mess up stuff, but like here we are just saving in our brain, hey, don't do this mistake.
Now we're okay
next time.
saying it. Hey, I made a mistake. I gotta watch out next time.
That's right. But that's you making more pots.
Right.
That's all. You will get a lot better at
making pots.
Right. And that's a little code word between us. Like, here, you're making
pots?
another pot. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, and I'm chasing another one, right? But it's a good analogy, right? Of just, it is about the consistency and the repetition and of doing it again and again. As Andrew, I'll paraphrase him, right? Boring
Boring,
repeatable,
simple.
Yeah,
duplicatable,
simple, boring,
simple,
Yeah.
again and again and again. And
We don't want no
again.
car rings on the pot.
Right, and eventually you'll get there,
Yeah.
but it's all a good learning. Yeah,
So
Right.
last questions before we wind up.
sure.
Who is Albert?
Who is Albert? Wow,
It's a very deep question.
that's a lot of question there. Man, he's a product of two parents who did their part as best as they could to
Yeah.
raise their children, instill some values that Albert, as one of their 5 children, took and grew, and by God's grace and goodness, compounded by faith, has tried to do the same thing with his family and the world around him.
Yeah.
I just
Beautifully said.
yeah,
Nice.
Yep.
I like that.
yep,
And my last question:
sure.
where do you see in the next 5 years? Like, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Our focus, right? When I say our, I speak for myself and
Your family.
my family. My wife Patty, as you know, who's also a fellow investor.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She's a part-time real estate agent as well. With respect to real estate, is really focusing more on us. Not to take anything away that I do for my retail
Right.
clients,
Yeah.
but really focusing on us, because you guys got a jump start on us as far as the age that you entered this industry,
Industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? So by the time you get to my age, in a few
In a
years,
few years. Yeah.
your position is going to look very different,
Different,
right?
right.
And for that matter, you may not need to get to my age. I don't know what your threshold is for yourself, but
Yeah.
you might say, you know what, in 10 years time, we're done building. Like,
Yeah.
we don't want to build anymore.
Yeah.
Or maybe you want to keep building, but in 10
Enjoy
years
it.
time, you're going to be in a position where you're like, I can just sit and do podcasts,
Podcast.
you
Right.
know,
Exactly.
and watch the
Watch.
net cash flow
Coming
The
in.
cash will come.
come
in.
on in, you
Yeah.
know, with properties
right.
that are paid for and other things that are happening.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go buy land then.
and
Oh.
then like really have learned so much about owning lots of land
Land.
that you're, like
Yeah.
Ted Turner, if you know who he is.
Yeah.
You
Turner,
know,
yeah.
I mean, you're talking about when I learned a little fact about Ted Turner, about how much land Ted Turner owned,
Yeah.
it was just mind blowing to
Mind-blowing,
me.
yeah.
I mean, when you're talking about owning like an entire state
Yeah.
because of so
I'm
much
changing the name, though.
land, you know.
That happens. I'm changing the state's name.
I mean, if you own the whole state, sure, but you own so much
Land. Right.
Yeah.
which is just wild, But and that can take us down a whole road of who owns the land, who owns the farming, who owns.
Exactly.
It puts you in a-
It's a
in a-
bigger
It gets a
topic.
bigger topic.
You know.
Yeah.
It is a bigger topic. It's a lot of conversation there, right? About
Yeah.
what kind of power you get.
But
yeah.
unfortunately, I have no knowledge about lands and all that, and
Not
why
yet.
why they do it, why they buy so much land, or why people.
Maybe
are
like
buying
next
it.
year we'll have more knowledge and we'll talk about it again.
And I think that would be kind of cool to
Yeah, to
have that as
look into
as
it,
a
yeah.
subject to kind of talk about and see where that goes. I mean, because it's not unique to the U.S. It's a global thing.
it's a global
Exactly.
thing, right?
You guys are originally from India.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's I don't know his name for the life of me. His name is beyond my reach, right? But he's part of a very small global community of very wealthy people, right?
Ambani?
I'll take your word for it. I
Yeah.
mean, he built a high rise for his family.
Ambani, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean
yeah.
that's nuts to me.
Yeah.
That's cost
know.
$1 billion.
Right.
Yeah.
He built a $1 billion.
It's a 17-floor parking.
Yeah, it's got 17 stories of just parking.
Just
Just
parking.
parking.
And then it has a museum in it.
Exactly.
has a
And
private garden.
It has a private garden. It has all these. It has a staff of like 600 just
Yeah.
to
Just to run the house.
right because that's
because he
not-
can afford it.
Sure, and I'm not advocating people want to get to that level. Of
Yeah.
they have 600 people working for them and cleaning their toilets, but I'm just saying, like, to think
And it's
of
6 people, I think.
like how do you get there? Like
Yeah.
what did you do to get there?
Exactly. Yeah.
But there's a lot to that. And that's a lot of
a lot
conversation,
that goes
right?
behind it, I
Because
think,
there's I've learned anyways, right? There's always sacrifice to something.
Oh, yeah.
You aren't
100%.
giving up. You're
Something.
giving
You're
up
giving
something.
up something to get something. Yeah.
And what is it worth to you, right? And that's where, like, even with what we do as investors, right? I'm probably maybe because I'm a little bit more older now,
Yeah.
maybe because I don't wanna leave, a legacy of, yeah, there's generational wealth, as we call it,
Yeah.
in real estate, but did that cost me?
Something else.
Did it
something
cost
more
me my
important,
family?
yeah.
Did it cost me
Yeah.
my kids? Did it
Kids,
cost
right.
me?
Your
Did it
stress.
cost me that?
Yeah.
You know, like, because there's a
No, everything has a
opportunity
cost.
price.
yeah.
The opportunity cost.
Yeah.
That's the
That's the
the
term,
best
yeah.
word is
Yeah.
what was the opportunity cost? What did it really cost you, other than
Cost.
dollars?
Exactly.
You know, sometimes you have to, but sometimes you choose to.
Choose
Yeah.
to, right?
You know,
Depends
But
what's
overall,
more
you have to.
important,
You
Right.
have to. There's no other way.
I agree that
It's like a
that
barter
there-
system. You can
absolutely.
say you give and you take. Also.
I agree that there are things you have to do to achieve
Certain
Yeah.
things.
the goals, right? But there's a line that
Shouldn't cross.
you should be
Yeah.
aware of,
Aware of.
Yeah.
Right.
right? Where now you forget completely
Yeah.
that there's a whole other
Well,
world
things
out
that you let go of.
that and now and recovering that is hard.
Yeah.
You know, that's like trust and
Trust,
confidence,
exactly.
and you know, that's hard to recover from.
Yeah.
You know, which is why the work that we do, trust is so critical.
Yeah.
And it's at the core of what we do, right?
Exactly.
It's
For
it's,
our business, it's
yeah.
like the main core, the main foundation is trust.
it's gold. You know,
Exactly.
you won't get the idea of going together
Yeah.
to get farther. Well, the way you go together is by building this network of people
Network,
that you trust and that trust you,
Yeah.
because they're either trusting you with their money,
Exactly.
they're trusting you with their time, you're trusting somebody else with your money.
Money, right?
You know, there's somebody who's doing the work in your house,
Exactly.
and you're trusting that they're doing what you've asked them to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's costing you money.
Money, right?
And so, and when those relationships are good,
Built, yeah.
then it's good and
Good,
they're
right.
healthy. And when they're not good, there's
Ugh.
pains that come with it because there's real consequences for it, right?
Exactly,
You know,
exactly.
There's real life
nothing.
consequences.
Yeah, it's real deal, right? Somebody, it might be me, or
Yeah.
it might be you. You might be my lender, and you're coming to me, knocking at the door, saying,
Hey,
"Where's my stuff?"
what's that?
Well,
What are you
you
talking
know,
about?
I took $10,000 and only one nail got put in the wall.
And I was in Vegas last week too.
And I was in Vegas, so that you know that's really important.
Yeah.
You know, but generally, guys, for the world out there watching, watch these guys, watch this space, watch what they're doing. It's the early days still.
early
and,
days.
Yeah.
Um,
We are still on our
yeah.
early stages, trying
Yeah.
to
Make
like,
it happen.
make it happen, record ourselves and see
Yeah.
how we change during all this
sure.
time,
We'll
where
look
we go.
back at this like 10 years later, and then we'll have so much to say about it.
Yeah, and it'll be better,
It'll
right?
be
Yeah.
much better,
Because I'll change one thing with what you said. It's not trying; it's actually doing it.
We are
Doing
doing
it,
Right.
yeah.
So we're like you're actually doing it, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
here we are.
Here we are, actually
You
doing
know,
it.
this is real. It's not made up, and it's fun. So thank you guys for
No,
Thank you for being
so
here,
much for
Albert.
coming in.
Appreciate
We
you
appreciate your
guys.
time.
yeah.
For anybody, make sure you subscribe us, comment down below if you have
Yep.
any suggestions or anything. We'll happily take a look at that. And yeah, thank you for watching this episode. See you in the next one.
Yeah, and thank you again, for stopping
sir.
by, explaining us all the great things.
It's a pleasure, man.
Yeah.
This is one of many for you guys. Maybe
Yeah.
one of many for me.
Yeah.
It's fun to do it, and you just wait. There'll be a lot more coming
Coming out.
your way. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you think. It'll make you better. So,
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you guys.
All right. If you want to contact Albert, you have all the details in description below. And if you want to join Mastery, there's a link below. You can click on that. And if you want to meet us, go to Instagram and just say hi, and then we'll contact you. Simple as thing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Perfect. And see you soon. Adios, amigos.
Adios.